Welcome to Behind the Screen. This is like a less entertaining, less enjoyable, less good-looking version of Dixie's Christmas Takeover, but it's what you've got for today. I have a sort of a cold. It's just a really annoying cough I've had for about a week now. I've taken everything I can to take for it. My throat obviously is a bit scratchy. I will try to mute the mic every time I feel a cough coming on. Usually I can. 1 second, my light is a bit too bright. But if a cough or two escapes my notice, I'm truly sorry about that. Also, I don't believe I ever uploaded the last video of these, so part 8 is still technically in the ether. I will get that uploaded as soon as I can. I just have not had the time since I streamed last. But for those of you who may be unaware of what this show is, this is me, completely a fan. This is 100% unofficial. Onyx Path is just kind enough to give me the platform. Sitting here for about 2 hours, just talking to the chat, helping people with rules questions, offering advice with contextual reasoning, kind of in practice GM tips rather than just purely theoretical videos, while also creating content for currently the Storypath Nexus, where whatever is released, whenever it's released, will be released. Pay what you want model, and with much thanks to the Onyx Path community. So my name's Ryan, or Comrade Bubbles, either works for me. If you care about such things, my pronouns vary. Yay, that's confusing for everyone involved. And I am disabled, so you may notice that I experience muscle spasms, which can lead to stuttering or slurring of speech, depending on which muscles is, playing up at the time. I apologize for that. I know that it unsettles some people, and it can make, it can make my rather droning voice even worse to listen to. So I apologize for that. I'm not going to apologize for being disabled, because I am what I am, and I wouldn't change myself most of the time. I do struggle with multiple trains of thought, so if someone asks me a question while I'm doing something else, I'll try and finish what I'm doing and then move on to the question. I will try to acknowledge that I've seen the question, though. And it's been teased for a long time, but it's finally happening. That because this obviously is not a tabletop stream, this is a theory stream and a content creation stream, I cannot have guest players. I could, of course, have a guest author or whatnot. That's something I've been thinking about, but it's just finding people who are free when I am, because this is like 9 o'clock EST. I'm taking other things from other shows on the channel and working them in somehow. I've been talking about this for about 3 months now, but we're finally to the stage where Yeet into Space from Occultus Anonymous can be worked in. It's one of the first things we'll be doing, actually. That's that for the disclaimers. So the recap, covered obviously what the stream's about. So far, this is, I'll just do this. Nope, this. So this is designed as an introductory, not a quick start, because we won't be reproducing any rules or anything, but an introductory chronicle, or like Chronicle Seed, for Scion 2nd edition. I run introductory games all the time and have a general kind of feel. If you're doing a one-shot, 3 scenes is a good number. It gives you a low-stakes scene where you can get the players rolling dice and kind of getting to grips with the system and the setting. You can get a freedom scene where they're free to explore, kind of embrace the freedom of role-playing and the ability to go where you want, wherever you want, to do whatever you want to do, that kind of thing. I will be looking to this way. That's where my chat is. Also my notes that you can't see on screen. And an action scene to wrap it all up with a climax to give everyone a good kind of feeling about, what's about what they've done in the game, and hopefully bring them back for more. This is going to have slightly more than 3 scenes, as you can see by the outline right now. At least 5. 5? 4. I can't count. 4+ visitation for each one, which is a weird thing. So far on stream, we've covered an individual scene for each character. As demonstrated on the left-hand side. We've had Ash, Hubai, Isabel King, Liam McMahon, Martina Vasquez, or Vasquez, depending on pronunciation, Michael Kettering, and then something in each scene to bring them all together. Advice, if you recall, was that you do not run each scene sequentially, so that all the threads happen sequentially. You kind of do them in any order you want and allow the players to slot them together. Although if you wanted to, the threads are numbered chronologically. But then decided after doing all that because not every group, not every player party necessarily wants to have individual spotlight scenes, particularly if it is their first experience role-playing. To have an introduction scene for everyone to get to know each other, to have less of an individual spotlight shone on them, and to kind of work together to get to grips with the setting, with the world of Scion, with a big W, capital W. There we go. So last time we streamed, came up with this group introduction scene, which, as you can see written on screen, and to repeat what I just said, is designed to encourage the players to think about what their characters do in their downtime to help them get comfortable with the core concepts of the game / role-playing, as well as getting them to start thinking about their characters. PCs are at I should say Black and Crimson. No one picked me up on that last time. Terrible community. Terrible. Would not come back again. Of course I would. You're a great community. Black and Crimson Food Festival. Whether or not the story guide reads out this text is entirely left up to the story guide, but the Black and Crimson Food Festival is a touring festival run by a known sign of Aishu Legbara, accents pending, and as a celebration of life, good food and family, it tours the country and brings joy to many people. Within its gates, music is heard, fun is had, and stories are told, because Aishu Legbara is a storyteller. So when I was doing this last time, my original plan, I don't need these notes anymore, so I can keep now in chat. Shout out to the cursor. My original plan was that it wouldn't... Well, I didn't really have a plan. I just divided it into sections so that it was easy to work out kind of what would be happening in each section. Also, if I hit the mic, I'm sorry. I talk my hands. What would be happening in each section. A little bit of stuff for each character to do in each section, and then tie it all together with something happening at the end, which, if you remember, is where we ended it. Cliffhanger, what's going to happen? Well, since then, I've realized that each section can work as a field in terms of an action adventure scene, which is great because it means there's a low stakes combat, or in game terms, a low stakes action scene. So players can get to grips with how, like, the initiative roster works, particularly if you're not used to story path games. The initiative roster is weird. So having this low stakes scene means that things like that, and things like how the cover system works and how the field systems, field stuff. I think it's called field. Now I'm doubting myself. Too many games in my head. Yes, field, capital F. How all of that stuff works. Also range bands, I guess, although that's less important. Sorry, I do have my tablet to my side so I can keep track of if the stream goes down again. I'm hoping it doesn't. I'm hoping Streamlabs have fixed it, but I haven't had an update, so who knows? We are at the whim of the Streamlabs gods. Or Logitech, actually, I guess. I believe they bought Streamlabs. Anyway, so yeah, so originally the lack of plan was just that each section would be individual and then there'd be a huge scrum towards the end of it. Now, however, they're separate fields which players can move between. But to recap the different fields, there's a music area with an open mic tent for musicians and singers, a couple of workshop tents, an art shop, graphic design startup, offering like album design stuff, and a small shop selling instrument supplies with limited repair service. Lauren Shade, I will pass that on to the correct person. I think it goes by Craden1 on stream, but I will let him know via the Twitch streams Discord. And thank you for obviously supporting David's show. He's a great guy. And Scion, obviously a great game. So we appreciate it from all of us non-Onyx Path employees, I guess. It does look like a blast. Next field, and obviously we're covering stuff in the fields when it becomes relevant. So the next field will then be food area, food tent, open air barbecue and cooking lessons. It's also probably going to have loads of tables and chairs to cause problems. Games area with some carnival games. Quiet area with some tents, comfortable seating, meditation trees, small tent garden with benches. That's probably going to be... I need to make a decision about how tied into the more super or supernatural aspects of the world that area specifically is. Because that could have like a field effect. And the storytelling stage, occupies sign in charge of the festival, whose name will come when I'm writing this out for release, whatever. But there are small workshops for improvisation, storytelling, as well as publicity agents. Obviously, the carnival games are listed. Anyone who's curious, I uploaded the games and the activities to the Scion channel of the Onyx Path Discord. It's not pinned or anything, but it's there if you scroll back far enough. I don't believe you have to scroll too far, so if you want to grab that as a PNG, I think. So it's a PNG. Anyway, if you want to grab that as a PNG for use in your own games, feel free, go ahead. I don't care. It's also... I also tweeted it after the stream from my Twitter account, at Comrade Bubbles. Again, just as a I think as a PNG, might have been JPEG. I don't know. It's been like 3 weeks at this point. If you want that information, that's freely available. Information. This is not really information, but there we go. So that's that. And then 1 second. Cough is going to kill me. Once all the players have had a chance to explore their character's interest and get to grips with the sounds and mechanics, the scene moves in a more action-oriented direction. So this is what I was on about. This is the cliffhanger. The cliffhanger, if you couldn't guess, is this stuff here. The gang's just going to hit the festival and cause trouble, essentially. So, should probably start creating a stat block for the gangers. So let's go with that first, actually. So, introductory scenes. Here we go. I guess I just put group introductory scene. That's not how you spell that at all. Nope. Nope. Just that line, please. I think it's heading 1. Heading 2. Oh, right. Yes, of course. Of course. Heading 2. Group introductory scene. There we go. Okay, so I need to now copy this template across. I don't know why I scrolled up. I have the heading set up for this very reason. Can I collapse this heading? I cannot. Google, you have let me down. Let's just copy paste this a couple of times, just in case. Might need it, might not. Who knows? But first of all, Let's just put Inked Gang. Gang is more futuristic. Inked Gang member. This will be heading 3, I believe. Yes. Excellent. So, unlike everything else, these are all mooks. These are also going to be mooks. I don't know why I just said unlike everything else. But I'm going to give them a quality. Just to bring that kind of aspect of the game to the forefront. So these are mooks, so they get 542 in their dice pools. Again, if anyone has any questions at any point about what I'm doing, or what the numbers I'm calling out mean, or what the words that you're currently reading mean, or why I'm doing what I'm doing, feel free to ask. I won't be offended if you need me to clarify anything or to repeat anything. My voice is wrecked right now, and it's not great to begin with. Archetype of Moon, that's like demigod level, I guess? Anyway, mook. That pitch was not great on my throat. Okay, so you can't see it, but I've got the PDF open. Aha. And I cannot navigate it anymore. There we go. There we go. Qualities, there we go. And I guess just do that. I just need to check something. I'm assuming it's like 1 quality per tier, sorry. Like Mook, Professional, etc. But example antagonists. Professional, that has 2. Mook has none. Professional has 2. Professional has 1. It's very flexible, much like the rest of the system. Excellent. So we'll have that page up. You know what? There's, I'll keep that up. I can check the chat on my tablet if I need to. Okay, so drive. In this scene to cause chaos. With a big C. Primary pool. Do harm. Wreck stuff. Oh right, and 1, 1, 3. Add a space there. Anyway, do harm, wreck stuff. Secondary pool. Oh, let's say speed demons, so like driving and stuff like that. And also, let's say ooh, I want something related to creating noise for intimidation purposes. Oh, that do harm would be intimidation as well, I guess. They're going to be people from, I guess, contact, knowing people. Ear to the ground. There we go. Word on the street. There we go. That works even better. So that's more like a culture and a leadership kind of thing. There we go. Desperation pool, obviously blank, because you don't have anything in the desperation pool. It's everything else that isn't covered by those. Health, defense 1, extras, etc., etc. So qualities. You know what? Actually, let's do this. Let us do this. Just close that so I can easily get to this. Black void. Oh no, everything's gone. The stream's broken. Low text. I'm going to zoom in a bit, actually. Okay, so kind of group tactics. I was thinking about this. Group tactics to me is too cohesive, too formalized. These are just people who are causing trouble, who happen to be a gang rather than who like work together in a way. They're not really trained to operate in a group, so I don't think group tactics is the right way for this. Martial artist, no. Natural weapon, oop, whoops. Natural weapon, maybe. not for the reasons stated, but more because they're currently, let's just say, on a performance-enhancing drug. Not that obviously you'd know this at this point in the scene, but that's possible. Not snipers, not super soldiers, not twitchy, heavily armored, no, not invulnerable, not shrouded. Stand tall maybe actually would work. I'm thinking I might have like this quality or this quality, so you can flavor it depending on what your preference is. So stand tall could work. Also, if you don't have the whole picture up, it just looks like the sword's bent. Or, not straight. Anyway, I think stand tall, highly possible. Toxic, maybe? Select the poison. So that's 147. Everyone remember 147. Poisoned condition. Totally toxic with a foul mouth. Sithal, that is entirely possible. My reasoning was the thing that they're on, which... Okay, I'm not going to beat around the bush. This is a content creation stream. Full transparency. Behind the screen is the whole point of this, so you see all the notes. When the hero supplement, when I write the hero adventure, at the back of it, I will be making just to show you how easy it is, but also for my personal gratification, I will be making a custom pantheon, the Inkborn, of basically public domain literary characters to act as a running and their titans will be the running thread throughout any of my Scion material. So what these gangers have taken is essentially distilled literary chaos. So that's the words. They have all gone. Essentially, what the toxin would be, I guess, would be the ink itself. And the longer I go on about this, the more I think that I'm just cribbing ideas from Bendy and the Ink Machine, which was not my original intention at all. But that would tie in with the foul mouths, except they could just like vomit the ink. Also, bear with me, I've just noticed what's wrong with my webcam. There we go. It's a much warmer colour. Poison condition. This condition lasts and runs equal to the number of successes inflicted, equal to the success of the toxin. Each round it persists. It was damage to the target as the inflict damage done had been applied to the target until the target dedicates a simple action to overcome the poison. That works actually, I think. I might change it from dealing damage every time, but I think we can definitely work with that. I mean, I suppose first was Creation Club and the Talk About Creation Club was non-talk about Creation Club. Yeah, unfortunately, if no one talks about Creation Club, I wouldn't have these streams, and like streaming from Onyx Path's Twitch channel is a dream come true for me. I love Onyx Path's work, and them giving me this platform is it feels so good, and I'm still like 9 streams in, so 20 weeks plus, bi-weekly with some skips. It still hasn't really sunk in, whatever. And the community has so far been great and really welcoming and receptive to this idea. So hopefully I keep doing it for much longer. It's just taking so long to write stuff. So let us do Toxic or Stand Tall. And then we will do this. I don't know why I bothered doing this, because I'm just going to be going straight back to the PDF anyway, but qualities. Stand Tall, I believe it's called Toxic. Now I'm doubting myself. Also, friendly reminder, this will be on YouTube in a week's time. There is a week's exclusivity for subs, So if you want to catch up on missed material, check out my YouTube channel. There's the plug. Okay, so I think it was... everyone remember 125? Yeah, called Toxic. So, vector for the toxin. Let's have C sidebar. Good morning, Plastic Cage Place. Thank you for giving up your New Year's Eve morning to be here. I hope that Christmas wasn't too bad. I saw that sometimes it's not great for you. The sidebars, I believe, are 2 exclamation marks. Yes. Actually, let's do it as this. The asterisks even are comments. Toxic. Obviously, all the formatting of this is subject to change when I come to typing it up for release and stuff. Transmission vector. Stop capitalizing words, you idiot. It's vomit, but I don't want to write vomit. I just don't really know what to... Sorry about the cough. I guess it's like aerosolated bodily fluids. It's just really clunky. What does the book say? Fluid transfer? That's not really quite appropriate. Anyway, let's just go back to here. Regurgitation? Yeah. Yeah, we'll go with that. Shout out to both of you for that suggestion. Let's put projectile regurgitation, just to make it perfectly clear that this is disgusting and everything. Transmission vector. So then we've got... I'm not going to be copying the text directly. Effect, momentum, and resolution. Okay, so as written, the poison condition inflicts damage. Does this give any indication as to how... Successful attack roll. Yeah. So I guess that would be a do harm roll. Where am I? Yes. Let's give it a complication though. So projectile regurgitation via a would you folk prefer the PDF where it shows you what I'm working with or the text I'm writing? With 1C. There we go. Because it's difficult to aim projectile regurgitation. Anyway, so interestingly, I'm not gaining... Anyway, that's by the by. So, the poison condition. Number rise equal to the number of successes, yada yada. Dealing damage seems... You like seeing the layout? Sure thing. I was just thinking, I could do a dual window thing, but I don't know if that would make things difficult to read. I think that would make things very difficult to read, actually. And sometime in a few months, I'm hoping to get a green screen, so that will free up a bit more of the screen. But I still think that would make it a bit difficult to read to have both the PDF and the Drive window open at the same time. Anyway, that's a future problem. Yeah, so the poison condition, the whole point of this, I say that a lot. One of the points of the stream is to show you how you can alter the rules for your game. So while dealing damage per round is, fine. I'm tempted to change it. Also, of course, an automatic injury condition around isn't great. This seems like the way that this is worded kind of feels like it's a holdover from older editions, older versions of the rules. Because you don't have that much health anymore. You have 4 technically, I guess. Health conditions, injury conditions that you can take if your stamina is quite low. So being poisoned is really bad. So taking that guaranteed 1 injury condition per round is horrendous. I guess that you can overcome it easily enough. Anyway, so I want to stay away from inflict damage. Now, my thinking is that the point of the ink, whatever I end up calling it, the drug that they're on, just ink works, is that it makes them super strong. And also super mindless, but super strong. So I'm thinking that the effect is it adds either a difficulty or a complication to any roll requiring physical strength. Not because you're weak, but because the character becomes acutely aware of how strong they feel and is probably trying not to break anything. In that kind of sensation of you do know your own strength and you are scared about what it can do. Whereas the gang members have completely surrendered to it. Complication is probably the easy way of doing it. And means that, well, as a perennial GM, story guide, what have you, it means that they can still succeed at the action but cause collateral damage, which is great for ramping up the stakes in the scene. I'm kind of leaning towards that, but for the sake of balance and argument, extra difficulty, of course, it's just going to make it harder to succeed at the test, and you've got a 1 in 3 chance of succeeding on D10, because it's 8, 9, 10 exploding. 7, 8, 9, 10 exploding. 8, 9, 10 exploding, I believe, at origin level. Went over this last time. Would you believe? I can't remember. Because again, it's been 3 weeks. Yeah, collateral damage is definitely what I'm leaning towards. Where did that go? Where did that go? Oops. Collateral damage is also great because it just introduces elements to the scene that wouldn't necessarily otherwise be there. Or sorry, I'm just trying to find something. My personal favorite is it gives you a backseat, because you can say, yeah, you succeed at the thing, you punch the guy, whatever, but you break something important. What do you break? And then it gets the, you know, the players to actually think about, oops, misclick. So think about how they're engaging with the scene, how what they're doing has an effect on the world around them. For example. Also, just a huge fan, as I say, of kind of taking that back seat and allowing the players to decide the badness that confronts them. I've lost the information that I seek. Oh, right, indexes. So that's definitely what I'm leaning towards. I don't know if one complication is enough for this. Maybe it's complications. If we say it lasts a fixed length of time, and it's just complication, like it lasts a round, because they're not, maybe 2 rounds. Or we could get a bit nitty gritty with it and say it has a complication equal to the number of successes rolled. But you lose 1 complication per round, and as soon as it reaches 0 complications, you're no longer poisoned. Maybe that. I think that works. It's just wording that in a concise yet easily understandable manner. Where the hey is that page? Also, if you haven't seen it, there is a conversion guide for 1st edition, 2nd edition at the back of the Origin rulebook, which is pretty useful, because if you have lots of the word has gone. Odd material, that's the word. Anyway, so I can't find the information I'm looking for, so I'm probably just going to give up very shortly. So, fixed length, persistent, fixed length with a minimal complication, or various length but with greater complications. Yeah, that was the right one. I just wasn't seeing it, apparently. Nope. Anyway. A second. Sorry about that. You think I'd be able to remember target numbers? Anyway, let's stop looking for that. So, I think I'm going to go with the variable length. So, effect. How is the effect originally worded in this? Nope. 125. So, last number of rounds equal to the number of successes that inflicted it, equal to the successes over the target's defense. Oh, no, that's the wrong window. This obviously subject to change, or if you are... Keep opening the wrong windows. You know what, I'll just minimize this one. Effect. So, the character gains a complication to first roll each turn, or every roll each turn? I think every roll. every roll they make per turn equal to I'm intentionally not writing this in note form. Number of successes that equal to the number of successes which inflict the poison condition. And then in brackets, can I copy paste from the PDF? Will it allow me to do that? It will. Equal to the successes over the target's defense. Level of complication. Is reduced by 1 at start. And obviously, I'm going to have to refresh wordings and stuff for turns and rounds and starts and ends of. Reduced by 1 at the start of each turn. Till it reaches 0, at which point the character loses the poison condition. Character gains a complication to overall they make per turn equal to the number of successes which inflicted poison condition. Equal to successes over the target's defense. The level of complication is reduced by 1 at the start of each turn until it reaches 0, at which point the character loses the poison condition. So this is only going to be like 4 maximum anyway, and probably less than that, going on the fact that you've only got like a 1 in 3 chance of success. So you're probably only looking at 2 turns anyway. Momentum. Gain a point of momentum, I assume is the wording. Oh no, every time the sufferer causes collateral damage by succeeding without paying off. Complication capitalized. It is. The complication. Resolution. What's listed here? Overcome the poison. Nope. That's not how you spell poison. Obviously, if you can think of anything better for this, feel free. But this is just my initial thoughts. Fire, stamina, or resolve plus survival, I believe, is the one in the book. Oh, resolve or survival plus stamina. Whoops. There we go. Simple action. Receive healing magic. Let's have an extra resolution thing. Yep. Yeah, that's spell wrong. I always misspell receive, and I don't know why. Resolve or stamina, survival plus stamina. Simple action. Receive healing magic. There we go. All be taken out. At which point the condition runs its course while you're unconscious. Bit of design note here. The toxins are a drug, which enhances the affected characters strength by 1 scale, I think. I think it works in this context. I assume scale. Yes. Just because I wanted to introduce the whole scale thing. More than anything else. Now I have lost where I was. Yeah, target number right. Thought it was. Anyway. By 1 scale just sounds wrong to me. So let's put in terms of scale. By 1. If said character has a... let's just put it like that for now. Which increases... drastically increases the odds of collateral damage. There we go. Complication, reflects, characters, trying not to break too much stuff. I might make that slightly more formal for final release, but for now it gets the point across. Okay, so that's that. And then extras. Let us have a look at where did it go? Example antagonists. There it is. They don't get any flares because they're mooks. Yeah, I think I'm good. I think I'm good with that. Let's say one of many. No. What's it called? Is it critical success stunt? I believe it's critical success stunt. Close combat attack stunts inflict damage. Critical. There we go. Nope. So used to working in Microsoft Word. Critical stunt costs and additional S. Let's just write out success. An additional S looks weird. Cost an additional success. Just because there's so many of them that getting that strike at a weak spot is difficult, but not impossible. So question then. I'm probably going to do it anyway just because it's a good exercise. But with the kind of disclaimer, that's the wrong word. Being aware of the fact that this isn't necessarily intended as a high stakes scene. And only like 1, 2 of the characters are combat focused in a way or have combat training. formal combat training. Obviously, Scion and other story path games allow for some weird dice pools, but how are we feeling about having a gang boss in this scene before I go and write numbers and things for how many people should be in the scene? Just to kind of go over qualities and flares and things. I'm tempted to do it just as it's useful exercise. I'll probably need it later down the line anyway. So let's get it out of the way now. So let's say heading 3? Yes, heading 3. Archetype, professional. Drive, to destroy. However, these are professional, so they get 653. Quick, I need a professional. 753. So close. Everyone can see what an amateur I am. Gosh damn it. No, gosh darn, sorry. And then, where did it go? 225. Okay, so, primary pool, again, do harm. Another primary pool for the inked boss. Gosh, let's have something related to keeping the gang in check. Born leader, kind of on the right track, but not quite what I would like. Lends too much of a formality to the proceedings. This is someone who is a leader more through being having the loudest voice or hitting the hardest, that kind of thing. And now all I can think of is this is just a gang of orcs from Warhammer. Oh, Aurochs, sorry. Disciplinarian. Again, too formal. Jeez. Secondary pool, let's just go for smarter than the rest. And light on their feet. Obviously this is a blank. Back up to this problem. Taskmaster again, too kind of formal. Also, the Silicon Path has shared the link to the Onyx Dice app. It's pretty good. I've used it once, and it did everything I needed it to do. So use it if you need to roll a lot of dice in one go, as with most pool systems, or you don't travel with your dice. Definitely useful. You can also use it for you can simulate hunger dice with it and stuff for VTM 5e and stuff. Anyway, that's pure procrastination. Would you believe? Anyway, keep him in check. There we go. Okay, so qualities and extras, and also flares. Let's have a flare. So, list of qualities. Whoop. I don't know why I did that. That was really high pitched and was not great on my throat. Let's just get rid of that. I don't think Super Soldier's the right. Maybe Twitchy. This is someone who's got to where they are because of being paranoid, thinking quickly on their feet. I like it. We'll go with Twitchy. And I'll promptly forget how to spell Twitch. That's also the wrong field. There we go. And then flares. Let's have a support flare, shall we? Villain or higher? Okay, so Spotlight's platform using. Gosh damn it, Scythel. How could I forget such an obvious thing? It's not like I don't type it out a lot with my own streams and stuff. What have we got? Inspiration. For those just joining who may be unaware, whatever. Qualities are buffs, passive effects, very similar to Nax. Flares are boons, or the equivalent of boons, sorry, for antagonists or story guide characters. They usually cost. They sometimes have a cost. Measured in tension, because the story guide doesn't have access to the momentum pool. They have the tension pool instead. Sometimes they have a cost, sometimes they don't, and they usually have a cooldown, which is usually just like end of scene or until something happens. So I'm going to read the relevant information while you look at what we've already got, see what ties in with what's written and what's not. With what's your personal take on the character, on the antagonist, that kind of thing. Inspiration cost, non-duration, 1 scene. Subject, all allies, medium range, reflexive action. And last cooldown is end of scene. The antagonist's presence lends strength to her allies. When evoked, all allied characters within near range temporarily remove 1 injury condition, or if they do not currently have one, gain a blanket +1 enhancement to all actions. The injury complications return, and the enhancement fades when the flare ends, when allies subject to it move out of range of the antagonist, or when the antagonist with this flare is taken out. As antagonists do not use injury complications, antagonists affected by this flare gain 1 health, or 1 enhancement if undamaged. So, it's weirdly worded in that they lose 1 injury condition, but antagonist is just kind of general for NPC. So if you've got an antagonist working with you, technically they wouldn't be an antagonist, but there we go. Anyway, on your feet, cost non-duration instant, subject, allies previously taken out. Short range, simple action. So basically that's it for your turn. Cooldown, antagonist numbers are reduced to half or less of what they were when this flare was used previously. Antagonist clears the rightmost health box of an ally within close range. This can bring characters back into a fight they were taken out of. This is, again, I believe, a holdover from previous edition, from previous version of the rules, as no one has health boxes anymore. Well, I guess that technically player characters. Well, player characters have conditions that sort of have a box attached to them, but it's not clear if the box is for colouring in to indicate you don't have it because your stamina's not high enough, or if it's an actual health box. It's weird, and as the previous one says, antagonists don't have injury complications, but nor do they have boxes, they just have health. So you get 1 health back, you remove 1 injury condition. That's what that means. Share alike, cost, non-duration, 1 scene, subject, all allied antagonists, range, short, action, reflective, cooldown, end of scene. Prerequisite, professional, or higher archetype. Well, that's good, because this is a professional. The antagonist shares 1 of her qualities, chosen with this when this flare is assigned with any other antagonists within near range for the duration of the scene. If she is taken out, the effects of the flare fade. I'm kind of thinking on your feet, But those were just the support ones that this antagonist has access to. There is a fourth support one, I Have Friends, where you just summon mooks, but they're not a high enough archetype. The utility ones, knocking back targets, moving targets, sort of teleportation, illusions, immobilize, possession, shapeshift, sorcery. Thousand face, not really what I'm looking at. Oh, here's one. An attack flare. Seeing red. Cost, none. Duration. Turns equal to the number of health missing. Or as this says, health boxes filled. Subject, self-range, self-action, reflexive, cooldown. You take damage. The antagonist takes damage. The antagonist may enter a frenzied state during which they feel no pain and are largely incapable of doing anything but attacking the nearest target. This adds a general +1 enhancement to close combat rolls, which rises to +2 if the antagonist has only a single health box remaining. Well, again, they don't really have health boxes anymore. So I'm either leaning towards that, which would simulate the boss kind of giving into the drug, into the ink, or the support one, on your feet, getting an ally within close range back in the fight. I think seeing red makes more sense, if I'm being honest. I think I like it more. Obviously, you can't see what I'm looking at, but it's what I read out. Let's put seeing red. Flare, seeing red. That's the wrong kind of red. I capitalized that because it's capitalized in the text, but then I realized all the titles are caps. So, anyway. And then extras, because give them a bit of flavor, doesn't necessarily need to have a gameplay benefit. Whoops, lost the Twitch chat. There we go. Maybe tie it into seeing red. The thing with seeing red is it won't last very long, because they only have 2 health, and they have 2 defense. Drug-fueled rampage. How am I typing these? Oh, right, yeah, it's just brackets. Drug-fueled rampage. When seeing red is active, this antagonist's defense pool let's just put defense is 3. Might help, who knows. Also, the extras, because I've given each stat block an extra. Just a bit of flexibility, a bit of customization. You can move them and swap them, change them, whatever you want to do with them. If you choose to use these stat blocks. Yeah. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. So, oh, right. This is what it's going to do. It's happening. It's finally happening. Yeet into Space has made it into the game. Any advice for a new BGM? Cold Moon? relax, find out what your players want, give them enough rope to hang themselves by, and allow their wild conjecture to determine where the story goes. I mean, that all sounds really flippant, but that's primarily my style. More seriously, find a level of preparation that you're happy with. You may discover that this starts out as a lot and tails off over time. It's perfectly fine. I used to do a heck of a lot of preparation. In fact, the figure I used to go by was provided by, I want to say, Mike Mills, lead designer or something for 5th edition D&D, and that he recommended you do half preparation time equal to half the length of the session, which gives you a lot of prep time, trust me. And I started out doing that. It worked for a while, and then I just realized that I was preparing too much. Don't know how much preparation you need to have something concrete yet flexible. In terms of writing story stuff, I don't. Well, I might just show you. So this is more what I do. This is a terrible example because I haven't actually written it properly yet, so I can't show you. I write general, kind of like scene outlines. So anyway, this is it. One sentence about how the scene starts, and then another sentence about what could happen at the scene's end, really. General scene outlines. Don't plan anything contingent upon anything else, dependent upon anything else, if you're more familiar with that word. So I'll draw on experience here, because this is the purpose of the stream. So I've mentioned this story before. When I prepared a lot of material, I prepared stuff that the players didn't pick up on or weren't interested in. So I got frustrated that they weren't doing that and started throwing just petty stuff in to kind of get a really cheap emotional reaction from the players to deal with my frustration. And I sincerely regret doing that. I would advise you don't do it. Kind of brings the table down. Since then, kind of have the starting point of the scene, which usually would logically follow from the end of the last scene, unless there's like a time skip happening or something else. Have the scene be more around what you want the players to get out of it, rather than how you want it to play out, if that makes any sense. So rather than your notes saying, oh man, if I had the time to log into my Trello, I could just read out what I wrote ages and ages ago. So rather than having your notes say something like, this scene will take place in this office with this person. The players will learn X, Y, and Z from it, and then we'll go to A. That was a terrible example of alphabet usage for examples. Rather have the scene is a conversation between the player characters and NPC. Sorry. Between player characters and NPC. The player characters should learn, prioritize in terms of importance, and then try to get a feel for kind of how that... Oh. Railroad the characters. No, Sithil, do not railroad the characters. Bad. Prioritize information that they need, so that if they don't ask the right questions, they can still learn something from the conversation. And then kind of have the players be ready for the players to go somewhere you don't expect them to go. If you are someone who struggles with improvisation, I highly recommend finding or creating in advance loads of random tables to roll on for buildings and shop inventories and locations and things like that. Obviously, with games like Scion and Chronicles of Darkness, set in the let's say more realistic setting than things like Pugmire and Monarchies of Mao. That'll be much easier because it'll just be stuff you can draw on from the world around you. And then kind of have those tidbits that they didn't learn in the back of your mind, and look for instances where you could introduce those either through overheard conversation or subsequent conversations with a different character, or environmental storytelling, like they see something relevant to one of the points, which prompts them to investigate. And obviously you have picked up on do not railroad. It works for some people. In my experience, the vast majority of people it doesn't work for, so it's always something to be wary about. Just going to go back to this for a moment. And also do what you've done. Do what you've done here. Ask people for help. Like, I'm here to answer your questions. There's plenty of articles with GM tips on the internet. This is more just interactive, obviously, in that I can offer you examples and suggestions based on my own experiences, rather than just saying, don't do this instead. Writing scenes down as they should happen, not like they will. It's more distilling a scene to its basics. So, trying to think of a relevant example. It's just all the scenes I can think of recently have not been relevant in any way. Okay, so example. Drawing on the D&D game I run, because unfortunately I get to run Onyx Path stuff very, 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 very rarely. There was a sort of NPC assigned to the player party met who was looking for help. So took them to where he wanted to take them, and then the player characters had a choice to, and kind of in order of importance of information. It was that they needed to help extremely powerful NPC who is currently missing. Said extremely powerful NPC could only be found at. Sorry, I'm counting this on my fingers just to avoid. Over here in the UK, counting the other way with the index and middle finger raised is a rude sign. This way around is fine. The other way, it's not. Said extremely extremely powerful being is at the end of a magical path. Magical path can only be followed under certain circumstances. Magical path is not actual physical path, spiritual journey. And then the fifth point, which they didn't actually bother asking about, was how you get onto the path. So how they should have happened, how the scene should have gone, is that they found all 5 points, and then made preparations. The fifth point is that you get hella high on a rare herb, and kind of things like that. So they should have found all those points. They're very, obvious things to ask. Very simple. I didn't expect them to ask all the right questions, and I was rather happy they didn't. And then, as I say, they should have made their preparations. What actually happened was they learned the first 4 points. Did not know how to like herbs. Yeah, everyone likes herbs. The first 4 points happened, and then one of the party members just said, okay, do it. So the herbs were lit, and we ended last session with splitting the party across the planes because one of them doesn't actually breathe, so cannot be affected by inhaling the smoke. So that's been nice to figure out. So there you go. There's a should happen versus what actually happened. So you see, Emil, just write scenes, I guess bare minimum. Know the core of the scene and work from there. Obviously, as I say, Prepare as much as you're comfortable with. This is all from my experience. I'm very comfortable improvising. I do that a lot. For instance, I didn't know. I decided last minute that it was a drug you inhaled. Well, like incense you inhaled, rather than an actual physical path. I just thought it would be cooler. A lot of what I do is very much, I have an idea, like a half-baked plan, and because I don't commit it to any form of structure, I can alter it to suit what the players decide to do, and to suit what feels better in the instant in that moment for me. Bedum Tish Sithel, Bedum Tish. First one who's telling me to prepare scenes as basic as they come. Oh, well, I guess having a wide range of opinions is a good thing. Cold Moon. This is something I really should write about on my website. I think I might have done. 1 second. I might have written something about this, actually. At this point, I've written so much random stuff for my website, I can't remember what I haven't covered. Articles. There we go. Oh, God, where is it? Is it there? Is it this one? No, this is about... Shout out to the cursor that's not actually in the chat window. That's not the right article. I will give up in a few minutes to continue with the conversation and stuff. That was the article I just clicked on. What? Did I? I need to fix my website, apparently. It is hella broken. Trying That's not working. Yeah, I can't find the right thing. Is it this one? Would this work? Nah. Okay. I can't find the right thing now, and obviously in the interest of keeping things moving. Always for release preparation more than something since that stage. Yeah, I feel if I prepare stuff, I have to stick to it. So then that does lead to some railroading. Kind of. Yeah. Trying to put this into words. Do the amount of preparation you're comfortable with. What is the first thing? The second thing is always ask yourself, what if this, rather than what I've written. And this is something I've only had to do once in the 9 years I've been role-playing, but never be afraid to ask for a time out to think. The players will do something that you can't plan for, or that spur of the moment you can't think of a satisfying answer to. So never be afraid to ask for help, to ask for time, or turn the thing back on the players. Just say they want to do something, ask them, how do you do it, or what problems arise, or if there's something that... Oh, yeah, mid-session. If there's something that you think the players need to know, and they are, so far off base that they're never going to find it, kind of ask them how they find this information out. Obviously, this is something to do rarely. Don't Don't do it too often. This is what I tend to do instead of rolling for random encounters. For example, I will ask the table if they encounter anything and what they encounter, and then it's up to them if they pick a combat encounter or a small social encounter or an exploratory encounter, and then build on that to create a cool scene. I'm very much into the community and collaborative stuff, you may be able to tell. But your players are an incredible resource, and together you'll tell a story that's probably better than what you could write on your own. I mean, I'm not a proud person in most respects. I'm always welcome to admit that other people have different and often better ideas than I have, or that we have equally good ideas but bounce off each other. That was the whole point of the last stream, to make these carnival games. Was using you folks in chat to make something better than I ever could by myself in the same amount of time. I don't know what to do next, just spitting out some bullshit in a moment of panic. Yeah, feel free to own your mistakes. My mantra is that the players will never know you've gone wrong or you've made a mistake if you don't tell them. So, for example, I can provide an example for this. Players are in a city that is currently, like the different districts, different wards of it have been blocked off from each other for reasons which are not relevant to the story. And they've made their way to a gatehouse. And kind of that's where I ended the session. They're at the gatehouse. They need to figure out a way, to get in. I realized half an hour later that the gatehouse would be guarded. There would be guards on top of the wall. There would be guards within looking out the windows. And I never said that they were there. The players kind of did look around. They would have seen that kind of thing. No, the characters looked around. They would have seen that kind of thing. And I owned up to the mistake and after the next session, because I used that as a way of introducing two new player characters, in that they swap places with the guards. No, it was that they appeared behind the guards and distracted them, so the guards were, elsewhere. And then I admitted the mistake, and the players had no idea I'd made a mistake. But to me, that was a narrative inconsistency that was, glaring. Why would there be no guards? There is effectively a siege going on. So own your mistakes, but use them to improve upon, to make things surprising. I've noticed that I tend to go for kind of the same antagonists, using this game terms, over and over again for the same kind of, not really story beats, but every end of every climactic encounter is typically just a square room with a thing in it. So try having that thing, whether it's a mistake or asking advice of someone, or even just here's some more advice for you. Get someone involved who is not involved in your game in any way, and run ideas by them. It doesn't matter if they roleplay. Just ask them what they think of your idea, and not every time, obviously. Just sprinkle it some as comfortable as you are, but that second pair of eyes really helps. But any chance that you realize you can alter the narrative with a twist of some kind that isn't world shattering and completely changes the narrative, but slightly subverts expectations or gives you an easy out. Going back to that example, I needed those two player characters to join the scene somehow, and Lo had an excuse. Don't beat yourself up about it. Mistakes are going to happen. That is the nature of the beast. Even as a player, I make mistakes as a player all the time. Just kind of own them, recognize them for what they are, try to learn something from them, obviously. Although the fact that you're asking indicates that you're trying to learn. And this is hypocritical because I am one of those people who is extremely self-critical, but don't beat yourself up about it. As I've said several times now, it's going to happen. You just have to accept that. But learning experiences. We never improve if we don't fail. And also, kind of the final thing, for now anyway, feedback from your players. It's not a lot, not often, but periodically I will ask my players if there's anything they particularly like, if there's something they don't like about the game, what they'd like to see more of, what they'd like to see less of, because they still might like it, but, less than other things. And, what's the fifth one? I can't remember the fifth thing I usually ask them, but it's that kind of thing. One can always use mistakes as a springboard for storytelling. Yeah, exactly, Sithel. It doesn't have to be a minor twist to introduce player characters. It can be, this thing happened the way I said it did because of this big bad thing. Also, at the end of the day, it's your table. If you say something is X and the rules say it's Y, the rules are wrong. I have a horrendous example of this. I will pause what I'm doing on this stream to look up the stuff at the table, and which you're all very kind in letting me do it. But at the table, when you're kind of mid-game, you don't want to interrupt the flow. You're not going to make the perfect ruling every time. And especially if you don't know the rules that well. But you need to keep that flow going. So you need to make a ruling. You make a rule, you move on. And then if, as I've done a few times, after the game, you check the rule and you were wrong, say that you were wrong. Say that this is the way the rule works. This is the way it works going forwards. But for now, this happened. If it's easily retconned and your table wants to do it and you want to do it, retcon it. If you don't know what retcon means, retroactive continuity, change what happened to fit the rule rather than what actually happened. If it doesn't fit, then either just kind of ignore the fact that it doesn't fit, or say this is why this instance of the rule is different. Golden rules go by the book, and that's perfectly fine. Different strokes for different folks. No one's fun is wrong. No one has fun the wrong way. Rules as written is obviously an important thing. Just be careful of which book you're going by, because some books have problems. Anyway, I hope I answered, I hope I satisfied your question. I know I answered it. To the extent to which I answered it, I obviously can't speak for that. And yes, obviously session 0 is very important for saying, these are the rules we're changing, these are the rules we're ignoring, etc. Please feel free to ask follow-up questions. Good, I'm glad I did. Yeet into space, custom stunt. Right, this is very simple. So, sure thing. I'll be here for another half hour. As I say, Yeet into Space is a thing from Occultist Anonymous, another show on the channel. I don't know if it's going to be, if it's still a thing. It certainly was when I asked for people, when I was pitching around the idea of working in kind of Easter eggs to other shows. And that it's just a threat from one of the majors. Luckily, I don't have to write anything for this. Where did it go? Where are the knacks? Not combat. Although I was going to keep the combat thing open because I was going to talk about fields. Knacks, here we go. General rules that when the gem set goes as player, but as a gem, like general rules to make sure the players have a good time. Not the gem a lot. People tend to like when I do. Yes, my focus as GM is definitely make sure the players have a good time. To the point that if it's people I don't know, I generally have an X card on the table. So if something is upsetting, just move on. If it's people I do know, I make sure to figure out real quickly what they do and don't like. I'm terrible at social cues, but I'm very good at picking up when people are bored at a table. Anyway, here we go. Yeet into space. 4S. And if anyone thinks this looks familiar, this is the enhanced impact knack from the warrior list. Obviously, it's going to need a bit of rewording. Let's do this. Oh, too many L's. Too many L's. 2L with you. Ah. A terrible joke. I apologize. I also apologize for unmuting the mic after I'd started speaking. This antagonist may knock the target back 1 range band. This does not do extra damage, but can put some in a attack spot. So, sorry, 1 second. I might alter this. I don't know. I think I'll make it easier. So, four successes is the threshold for critical hit stun. For those of you who don't know, so you spend so you get, you know, like 4 successes. There we go. I don't know why that. I'm just repeating what I said. So 1 success is, sorry, the inflict damage stun is equal to 0 successes plus the opponent's armor rating. So cost that many successes to inflict damage upon, to deal an injury condition on a target, or to reduce the health of an antagonist by 1. The critical stunt, 4 successes, deal an additional injury condition to your target. So really, so to do 2 points damage to an antagonist, you need minimum, I guess, technically speaking, 4 successes, because if they're not wearing armor, inflict damage is free. But because these are extremely strong gang members, I might lower it to 3 successes. Yes, I think I'll lower it to 3 successes. And then this is, reminder, this is a low stakes scene. The player characters are supposed to either succeed here or to not die. The gang members are more interested in destroying stuff and causing chaos than in actually killing people. So yes, sure, down here it says character's strength in terms of scale is increased by 1. That won't actually apply to the gang members until the last scene of this Chronicle Seed thing, at which point we'll talk about scale and stuff, but that won't be for a while yet, because I've got 2 more scenes to get through and stuff. It's taken me 1 hour and 40 to get through 2 stat blocks. But I've talked things out. Hopefully you understand my thought processes. I've answered questions. Welcome back, Cold Moon. I generally try to be entertaining. Also discussed poison conditions and things. So, now that we've got the 2 stat blocks for the scene, let's actually write this scene. So, once all players have had a chance to explore their character's interest and get to grips with science mechanics, the scene moves in a more action-oriented direction. I guess SGCIOs only, though. The following, I guess, subscene, although it could function as a scene on its own, is intended to be a low-risk action scene, demonstrating the basics of Scion's combat system. Gang members are more interested in... Damn, VTM itch hit me. I know that itch. I realize I need to space gang members. Suddenly just want to play some vampire? I mean, just do it, forehead, right? Gang members are more interested in self-defense and in destroying property than in harming people, but do not care about collateral damage. Can't wait for Bloodlines 2. Oh man, I'm so hyped for Bloodlines 2. I need to look into what vampire content can't be done on Patreon, if any. Because I have like a by night book, but not by night book that I'm supplement kind of thing that I'm writing for the campaigns I run at the cafe I work with. I don't care about collateral damage. Each field is subject to a 3 rolls rule. That's from the completely different rule book. How to word this? Treat each area of the festival as a different field. I think the field guidelines below. And change the focus once a field has had 3 rounds. Once all the antagonists are taken out. Or once the player characters present in the scene are taken out. Oh, once either. There we go. That should be capitalized. Can't wait for Bloodlines 2. It's just a shame the gang won't be playable at launch. Man, I mean, I wish I could feel your pain, but I'm an inveterate Malkavian. Confirm Azure Gangrel, complete with the shape-shifting? Which I assume the shape-shifting is why they're not in at launch. I feel like I'm missing something there. I'm sure it'll come to me. Anyway, so fields. So again, a field is a discrete location. It can be of varying size. If you've played any Fate, pretty much analogous to zones, in that it's just a small-ish area, an area where something is happening, connected to another area where something else is happening, etc., etc. It's a way of breaking down a map, if you will, to discrete kind of action bubbles in a way. So music area, food area, games area, etc. Food, games, quiet, storytelling. Oops. Nope. That's a colon. Or that's an L, not a colon, even. Just kind of break these out a little bit. You know what? Rather than being a colon there, let's have this be a heading. There is no heading 4. Never mind. Let's not. Okay, so music area. Let's see what I've written about the music area. Open mic tent for musicians, singers, couple of workshop tents, art shop, graphic design startup, and a small shop. So this seems like it's going to be full of tents. So I guess let's reference this. Let's have kind of one extra rule per area. Actions of adventure scenes. So we go. Where's the cover stuff? So utilize cover. It's probably light cover. Sorry, soft cover. It'll be soft armor. There we go. Let's treat it as light cover. There we go. Full of tents and people. Due to the crowd. Any ranged attacks from player characters suffer 2 complication. And due to the tents, any ranged attacks all targets, sorry, are considered to have. Did I say light cover? I think I said light cover, but I'll just check. Yes, absorbs 4 injuries before being destroyed. Against ranged attacks. The crowd will begin panicking after the first round. Hang on, I just need to see if there is already an expression in the rules for this, or not really a barrier. I guess it would be. Getting past a barrier means climbing, jumping over it, locating alternate route, finding creative through it. Reflexive move action. So I could either treat this as a barrier, in which case you have to roll to move. Or do it as a simple action. So a reflexive action, something you do, it's essentially free. You can only do a reasonable number of reflexive actions per turn, but you can move reflexively once per turn. That is change one range band. Short, medium, far. Long. Whatever. Simple action, you get one more simple actions, but you probably only should be doing one if you want to do it to the best of your ability. So that's an extremely reductive way of looking at it. But there we go. If you want to do one or more things, you end up... you pick the lower dice pool. No, never mind. Different game. You have to meet both successes. That's it. Yes, that's it. So it just makes it a lot harder to do, which, you know, understandable. There's the scale stuff I was looking for earlier. What? Anyway, so we'll stick it. We'll leave it to, for now. Essentially, all you need to know is you get one simple action a turn, although you can do more. So I think stealing that from the players, especially in the first scene like this, is probably a bit mean. So we'll treat this as a reflexive action. Count as a barrier for movement. Let's say, yeah, we'll go with that. Athletics plus might or dexterity. Roll of, let's say 2D. 4 rounds, 2 and 3. So I think that's enough there. The music areas for tense people due to crowd and action. Player characters will suffer 2 complication, and due to the tense, all targets are considered to have light cover against ranged attacks. So light cover will absorb 4 injuries before being destroyed. The crowd will numbers. That's what I missed here. That's what I missed up here. Again, this is more kind of a paraphrase. You can read this out if you wish, or you do it in your own way. But this is here as a narrative prompt. Crowds around you begin to scream and flee as a mass of people descends upon the festival, weapons swinging freely. A number of inked gang members equal to the number of players plus an inked boss. Let's say, let's just put causing havoc. I've got to capitalize it because it's proper noun. I might balled them or something. Each gang member has an improvised weapon and will throw nearby objects if necessary. Gang members in this scene will flee after destroying a number of tents equal to I guess player characters times 2. The number of player characters present multiplied by 2. Just to give it a bit of flexibility so it's different every time you play it, I also need to specify here. Plus Nick boss causing havoc. I will cover the copy for Cult of the Blood Gods on Kickstarter at the end of the stream, which is, I guess, after I finish this sentence. There is one gang member in each field per player character, with the boss being present in the field with the most player characters. And the boss, there we go. I'm just full of tense people. Gang members in this scene will flee after destroying a number in this field, not seen. Will flee after destroying a number of tents equal to the number of player characters present multiplied by 2. I think that's clear enough. So, got a bit done today. Got these 2 full antagonist blocks with qualities and flares. Covered qualities and flares. Covered kind of like custom poison condition-y things. Made a few missteps. Tried to correct myself where I realized. But we've started on the last bit of this introductory scene. We've got like 3.5 scenes left. Maybe by the end of next year, this will be finished. Who knows? So, anyway. Oh, sorry. If the microphone picked that up. What is this link that just appeared on stream in the chat? Well, thank you for asking. One second. There we go. Cult of the Blood Gods is a new style sourcebook for Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition that introduces the pernicious horror of twisted beliefs. There's a space missing on this page. Designed for players and storytellers, this supplement will include an in-character breakdown of the rise of esoteric beliefs, a host of religions, a history, structure, and ambitions of the Hecata, guidance on how to use ecclesiastical horror and construct cults in Vampire, faith-based story hooks, and lore sheets, backgrounds, and predator types. So it's all good Vampire stuff. You should definitely back it. I would if I had the money, but Christmas was not kind. It's already passed its goal, so there's no chance of it not doing that. It's currently at 106,000 of 30,000, or $106,247 out of $30,000, or nearly £81,000 out of 22,864. 16 days left, so there's enough time for you to think about it. I believe if you back it, you'll get access to you get manuscript previews. It's all cool stuff. Vampire the Masquerade, great game. 5th edition is amazing. And that book looks phenomenal. Definitely check it out at the link provided there. There was another link I wish to share. There we go. Something I also meant to mention at the start of the stream. I don't need that window anymore. If you don't check it often and you are always... definitely now is your chance to get into 5th edition. I highly recommend it. It's very good. Very different to VTR. Either edition of VTR. But in a good way. if you are ever curious about Onyx Path news and stuff, and you don't already check it out, highly recommend checking the Monday meeting notes. They are the notes of the Monday meeting between the higher-ups. But it's a good place to keep track of upcoming Kickstarters, current Kickstarters, and also if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, it gives you the update status on Onyx Path's many projects in the works, with things that have changed recently in bold. So, so if you've got a product that you're keeping an eye on, like maybe Scion Titanomachy, I believe, is the one that changed in this week's Monday meeting notes. Definitely check out that. Yep, Titanomachy is now in post-approval development, which is great, where the LARP rules are. It's also a place to find all of the kind of media links and a brief summary of the streams and whatnot going on this very Twitch channel, which, if you haven't heard, you can subscribe to. If you have an Amazon Prime account and you've not yet linked it to your Twitch account, you get a free sub every 30 days. If you use it here, you get some sweet emotes. I am subbed still. My Twitch Prime account has not run out. Subscription has not run out. But there's a whole host of live content on the show, on this channel, both on this channel and hosted by this channel. The post-roll and the pre-roll will always have that information, as will the offline, the picture displayed in the video player when the channel's offline. And the channel just gives you a way to interact with the cool games going on, or with shows like this, or with the higher-ups in the company when they're on, obviously. And also, Nightbot just shared the links for the Facebook and the Twitter and the Discord. The Discord's pretty active if you ever want to play games, just looking for group channels and stuff. I highly recommend it. If I ever make anything like the Carnival games again, I will try to remember to share them there. But also things like community content, when it's created, can be shared there. So if anyone's interested in that kind of thing, go check it out. I am available on Twitter pretty much all the time. It's at Comrade Bubbles. If you ever have questions and I'm not streaming, I also stream on Twitch, just general variety stuff. Comrade Bubbles again, it's very original. But that's more just kind of like video gamey stuff. But I'm always happy to talk about role-playing games. They are my passion. They help with my mental health problems, and storytelling is just so cool. And I am incredibly thankful that I get to do this for Onyx Path and as a freelance job, in terms of jamming. All being well, I'm assuming, Plastic Age Plays, that you're happy for me to resume my original schedule of, bi-weekly streaming. So that should be next Tuesday. But if you'd rather I'd skip next Tuesday and go for the 14th, I can update my calendar accordingly. But this stream will go up next Tuesday, the 7th. So if you're watching this on YouTube and it's up before then, I guess I'm going to be removing it, because it should have a week's exclusivity for these Twitch subscribers. I think that's everything. I can't think of anything else. If anyone has any lingering questions, now would be the time to ask them. I'm going to be sticking around for about 5 minutes as the post-roll goes, just to wind down and answer lingering questions in the chat as well. And any feedback, as ever, is welcome. I apologize again for the cough. I hope I've muted the mic every time I've coughed. I think I have. I've had nowhere near enough to drink during this stream, but there we go. And I think that's it. There do not appear to be lingering questions. So, until I see you all next time. Well, before that, have a great New Year's Eve. I hope that it is... Well, I hope that the festivities slash celebrations are as long as you want them to be, that you have an enjoyable time. If you don't celebrate New Year's Eve, have a good day. Just be the wholesomeness you want to see in the world. That's how I try to live my daily life. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's it from me for today. Hopefully I'll see you around again. I hope that I am approachable. And I will see you all next time. See ya.